Hey guys, it's Jules recording for a second time. I don't know what happened. I could have sworn that I started this project and that I had the recorder thing going, but apparently I did not. And I was just talking to myself, which I am prone to do. So, hi, today is March 3rd when I'm recording this, Saturday night. And today we're going to do Rainy Waterloo Place. And where we're at is roughly, we're right about here. We've done all of this, and we've done all this up here. So now we're starting to get into the interesting parts. And let me put this over here. So I've done quite a lot in the last couple of days with this particular one. I've been working on other things too, but I've done a lot with one particular color. It was 3023 is my color du jour. But I got a lot of stuff done up here and here, and then I filled in all that you see here has all been done today, a little bit down here and whatnot. So I'm gonna stop working on this one after this stitch along, and I'll be able to move on to something else. I've been working on the Reaper, and I did some of the baseball project. So, but you're still not going to be able to see anything with the baseball project. That's the downside. It's basically a lot of white, a lot of light colors right now. So it's until we get into more colored stuff, you're not going to really be able to see anything, and that's going to take a little bit of time. So, but I'll keep working away at it. I enjoy it. I feel like it's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. So, yeah, you know what? I'm pretty sure I wasn't watching the timer going like I am now. I don't know what I was doing. I was just talking to myself. So let me tell you what I was telling myself before. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope that you have brought along one of your favorite projects. And if you're watching this while you're going to sleep, it's okay to fall asleep. Just fall asleep. It's okay. But I have a lot of stuff to talk about today. And last week I really didn't feel like I had a lot to talk about, and so I was more quiet than normal, apparently. And that's okay. But life is busy. Life is busier, and I feel like I'm in a more talkative mood this week, so that's a good thing. But my husband and I had the weekend off, so my husband and I took a nice little trip to Fort Collins today. And Fort Collins, Colorado is a college town. It's where Colorado State University is. And hold on, I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. All right. And it also happens to be a town in which both my husband and I lived in separately. I mean, we lived there this is getting to the end of the thingy, and it's starting to get all weird to the end of the floss thing. So I'm just going to cut this part off, rethread it, and then I'm going to tie it off, start with a new thing. Anyway, so my husband actually moved to Fort Collins with his family when he was in middle school. And then he lived there for many years, into finishing college and whatnot, and many, many years. So he only moved out of Fort Collins, I want to say, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it might have been about 8 years ago, maybe. But he was there for like over 10 years, I believe. And so he was there for quite a long time. I need to find some more flossy colors. Flossy colors, step up. I lose stuff. Anyway, I'll keep talking. You keep stitching. But so he lived there for a long time. And I moved there. I was there for 2 years from like 92 to 94. And the funny thing was that when I started school, one of his other best friends started school. We were in nearby dorms, not in the same dorm, but nearby dorms. And he worked at a place where that was only like a couple miles away from, and I passed by it all the time, from where I ended up living for a while. But we were very close. Like, we were literally just a few miles apart for a couple of years, I think, for the better part of a couple of years, and never ran into each other. Of course, I mean, there's so many people at that school, but had probably passed each other. It's just weird how life works out, right? And then then I move away, and then I come back, and eventually we meet and get married. It's kind of crazy, but it's funny. So he has all these memories of Fort Collins that are different from my memories. I gotta move this down here. And that is, and that's a lot of fun when you're going on a little tour. So we got up there earlier than we had planned on. So we decided to go over to the student center and walk around a fair bit and see all the changes. And there's so many changes because a few years after I left, the town and the school had a massive flood and destroyed a lot of anything that was sort of below ground level got totally wiped out and flooded. And so, like, the student center is vastly different. The library was vastly different. There's a lot of new construction going on at the school, and nothing looks like it used to. I mean, it's totally different. And so we just walked around a little bit and had a good time checking everything out. And so the coolest thing that's happened is they built a new football stadium on campus. And that was like the highlight of the day for me, because when I went to school there, the team was terrible. I'm not even sure if they won more than like 1 game, 2 games a season in the 2 years that I was there. And I went to every football game that I could when I was out there. I went to several of them. I'm not sure if I went to every one of them, but I know that I went to the vast majority. And so I would take like the bus, out to whatnot. And it would just, the whole ordeal of it wasn't that far away, but when you're talking about bus schedules and this and that and being dropped off and having to walk and all these, it was just, it was a bit of an ordeal. And so they finally built it on campus, which was funny. They just kind of bulldozed this big, huge parking lot that they had, and they had all this space, so they just put it right there on campus. But if we think of the campus like a grid, and the dorm that I stayed in for the first year, was a sort of a rectangle you could think of. And if you think of it as like say, this is like the south end, and this is the north end of the dorm. And I lived right in the corner of the north end, the northeast end, basically. I was the most northeast person there. And where is the stadium now? It's about right here. It literally is I don't remember if there was anything on this side of the dorm at all. I have no idea. But there's just a little patch of grass, and then there's literally a street right here. And then the stadium is if that's the street, then this is the stadium right here, and it's all right here. Literally, if you were on the south side of the dorm and you're on the top level, you could probably see into the stadium, and you could probably watch at least part of the game from there. And I just was thinking, man, I came to school way too early. I should have come to school once they got all this stuff built, but it was pretty neat to see. I'd been looking forward to checking it out, and finally got to see it. And it was pretty neat. It was pretty neat experience today. So that was a good thing. And then after that, we went to a couple of, before we went to CSU, we went to this one fish store that was on our way as we came into town. And the cool thing about the fish store was it had a lot of koi pond stuff. It was a traditional fish store, but a lot of it was dedicated to having ponds and pond maintenance, kois and things like that. So that was a pretty interesting thing. But the best thing about that store was that they had a whole hydroponics thing set up. And for those of you who watched I think it was last week's video, we talked about hydroponics. I'm pretty sure it was, because that's definitely a new love, or a new goal, I should say, new potential goal / hobby. So they had this really cool hydroponic setup where they had, in this one building, they had a like a big like horizontal container, basically, that was maybe 8 inches deep, and the top 3 inches was this some sort of no, I don't think they were like biological. They might have been biological. Wouldn't be surprised if it was some sort of biological media. But like little stones, basically, is what it looked like. And they're about 3 inches deep, and they float. So that's what makes it different. They were floating sort of on this, and then underneath of it was several inches of water, and the plumbing in the water was hooked up to a fish tank. It was basically just a big fish container that had some smaller koi in it. And so as the smaller koi produce waste, the nitrogen from that waste goes up and nourishes the plants and keeps the water healthy. Basically it's natural filtration, keeps the water healthier. And so it was just really, really neat to see that actually, right there in action. See it in action. And so that was really cool. Now, why are you coming through here, Mr. End? Why are you coming through here? What business is this? What business do you have here? Did I get it? Yay. You have no business here. But, okay, where am I? Focus. Focus, Julie, focus. So then, where am I at? So it was really, really cool. So we enjoyed that very much. But the real reason why we went to Fort Collins in the first place was last weekend. I had ordered, when we were at the fish convention on late Saturday afternoon, we went around and went to that saltwater tank convention. They had what I wanted was a tiny little, a little what we call a refugium sump, and it's basically like another way to keep your tank clean, using again plants to do that, to keep certain things out of the water, to help maintain a better water quality, and to increase your total water volume, which helps maintain everything. And what I need to do is eventually get set up, get it plumbed up to the or attach the plumbing, let's say that. It means plumbing means different things, or to plumb. Sorry guys, I'm just distracted by the stitching. I hope you're distracted by the stitching too. But then anyway, so I gotta get all that attached and whatnot. So, because I think the new plan with the saltwater tank, because I have all this algae in it now that I just don't know if I can get rid of, what we might do is set up the sump as a temporary tank in which we can put some things that we can put the fish and the crab and the snails and whatnot in there temporarily, while I then go and clean the other tank, get everything cleaned off of the rocks, and I mean, I can either put the rocks back in, or I can get new rocks and put them in there. I'm not really 100% sure how I want to go about that, so probably need to watch some videos. I'm going to highlight here for a second while we discuss things. But so anyway, the fish store that we were in was really cool. Probably the best looking fish store that I've seen in Colorado so far. And it was new, and that helps a lot because everything can be set up to maximize everything they want to show. And the lighting was cool in all the tanks, and they had a lot of things to choose from, a lot of saltwater and freshwater. They had an abundance of things there. And then a lot of people to help you out. There was a lot of helpers there. And a lot of times in a fish store, when you go in, that can be the hardest parts because everybody needs help. You can't walk in and just simply take your fish and leave. Everybody needs help getting their fish, so it can take a while when you go in there to get what you need and come out. We went there pretty close to them opening, got our sump that we had ordered, and bought a few other things for the plumbing aspect of it. but they had this massive, like, I don't know how many hundreds of gallons of water that this tank held in the middle of the store. But it was pretty impressive. It was they had fish in there that was like, there was a tang in there that literally, the tang are the ones that when they turn to face you, like they're super narrow, but then when they turn this way, they're like long and flat, kind of like Dory from Finding Nemo. And this one was like easily bigger than, I mean, it was like the size of my head, I think. It was huge. Uh-oh, drop something else. All right, I gotta tuck this up a little bit because I gotta get way up to the top. Starting a new color. A little bit of pinkish. Okay, that's been done. And hold on. And this is where I'm at. So that was a lot of fun. We were there for a little bit, and then once we left there, then we came back down through Denver, and we went to this cool. We were looking for deep dish pizza. My husband had a hankering for some deep dish. We were like, we want to find true deep dish Chicago style pizza. You got to eat with a fork and a knife because it's so deep. And so we went to this place that was over close to downtown, and it was pretty good. It wasn't true deep dish. At least we didn't seem to order the true deep dish because, I mean, true deep dish is like that thick. When I was a kid in living outside of Chicago, I remember once my family and us going to, I think it was Geno's, maybe one of the Geno's places, and it was amazing. So beautiful. The pizza was. I just remember it was like, it was all I could do to eat one piece because it was like such a gigantic meal. So that was pretty awesome. Awesome. This is awesome too. So that was good. And I came home, took a nap after all those carbs, and started stitching. And then said, oh, I should do my video. So here I is doing the video. Getting a lot done. All right. So let's see. I wrote notes down this time. Holy cow, I got like through most of my stuff. The very first thing we did this morning was actually go pick up my glasses. They were done, which was awesome. So it took them about a week to get all those done. So I was pretty happy about that. So I took my stitching with me on the drive up to Fort Collins, and I found that with my new reading glasses that things were definitely a bit sharper. I actually wore my progressives, but these are my, I'm going to call them my stitching glasses because that's kind of what they are. Now, I don't absolutely have to wear them when I'm doing 14 count, but it does help. It especially if the lighting isn't perfect. Where am I? See, now I don't even know where I'm at. Oh, there I am. Okay. But it does help. It does help a lot. And I'm sure that when I actually go to do like the 18 count, which is a little bit more of a strain, but not enough for me to put on the magnifiers. Not enough for me to put the magnifiers on, so that's not too bad. Not too shabby. Oh, can go up here. Let's go up here and do this. So we got those. So that thing is done. So let's see. Okay, time in this first part talk about something else. Let's see. So I had the B class. If you guys watch my weekly update, so that I was talking about going to this or sitting in on this B class online. This audio lecture. This was actually just a slide lecture too, so we got to see everything, and it was pretty awesome. We really enjoyed it an awful lot, and I learned more than a few things. I think my husband pretty much knew everything that was being talked about, but he also enjoyed it very much. That was fun. And so here's an interesting thing. Did you know that bees are not native to North America, or even the Americas, period? They were brought over, and this is something that I didn't know. Like, as much as we've done bees and talked about bees and everything, I never knew this. But bees were brought over probably by the Pilgrims, like in the early 1600s, like 1622, 1625, something like that. The first recorded sighting or description of bees or beehives or anything was like 1639. And they were brought over basically along with all the other livestock, because obviously people at that point knew the importance of bees with crops and their gardens and everything. So it was pretty important for everybody to do that. Sorry, I'm just looking and saying, did I forget to do this and this and this? But yeah, so it was pretty cool. And we the reason why it came up was because a friend of mine sent a picture of a bottle of honey that he had bought from the store. He has, we gave him a bunch of our honey when we had our harvest last fall, but he's already gone through it, and they needed honey in a recipe, and so he got it, and it was a very dark honey, which is pretty typical of different locations. That would not be what I would call wildflower honey, but it's something else probably. But he said, it didn't taste anywhere as good as the stuff that we had, and which was very, very awesome of him to say, because he's a very, picky when it comes to his honey. But anyway, I was laughing at the cover of the bottle that he had, because it was like pure or raw unfiltered honey, and but it doesn't mean that there wasn't anything added to it. There's a lot of honeys in the store that are watered down, or they add extra sugar water to them, and it's not true pure honey. If you're paying $8 a bottle for honey, you're probably buying pretty close to real honey, if not the real thing. But when your honey is half that price, it is definitely watered down. But the funniest thing about the bottle was that on the front of it, at the very bottom, it said, "Made by American Bees." And my husband got a bit of a laugh out of that, because there's no such thing as American bees. Like I said, bees are immigrants, just like many other things in the Americas. And there actually isn't even a strain of bees that it would be considered to be an American strain. Oh, look, I got to fill this. I forgot that's right here. So that's the funny thing. And because we actually use Italian bees. There are sort of, in the beekeeping hobby, there are a couple of like main strains. There's Italians and Russians, and then there's also African bees. But African bees are really like ridiculously violent and aggressive, and we don't want them up here because they would kill off every other bees. They're very good at making honey, but good luck getting to the honey. You might have to like get inside of a tank or something to like get the honey, because they will protect it like so much more vigorously than a lot of other strains will. But needless to say, we don't want African bees here, and they're actually not allowed to import them into America because of that reason. So, but let's see right here. So anyway, yeah, we have Italian bees there, but there's all different kinds of variations of bees. There's lots of different types that you can get, and but yeah, there's not an American bee though. That's kind of funny. So, and that led into, let me just read up on this a little bit, and then found that how early they came, and been here for a long time. The Native Americans would call bees white man's flies. And they would know that if they saw a beehive or saw any bees, they know that the white man wasn't far behind. So, there we go. Here we go. Here we go. There's here. And here. Oh, that's pretty interesting, though. There's another bee class next Wednesday. So hopefully I'll be able to shoot the video beforehand. If not, I'll shoot it after. But I like to do it before so I can load it up and work on all the things that need to be done with it prior to publishing it. I can do that while I'm listening to the bee lecture, so it's pretty good. Pretty good. Ah, sorry guys. Ah, here. There we go. Okay. Got another last thing here. Making progress. There we go. I'm gonna do this one. Oh, there it is. Hello. Okay. Oh, stretch my legs. Oh, okay, here we go. So, let's see, what else to talk about? Oh, so guess what, guys? I almost got frauded again. Frauded! I was frauded! Wait, there's that, there's that, there's that. What's that? That's that. So, I got notified this afternoon. My credit card was like, oh, hey, we think you may not have done this activity. Please call us. So this time, there was a number on the message to call. And I don't know what the heck that was, but I called that number. It was like, it wasn't a 1-800 number. It was 1-806. I don't know what it was. But when I called in for that, it gave me an ad. And it was like, it was an ad for some, well-known product or whatever. But I'm like, wait a minute, Chase isn't going to do this. So I hung up on the call, and then I went and called the actual number on my card to talk to him and said, you know what, guys, I didn't do this. Now, the funny thing is that this time it was for something on NHL.com. And NHL.com is, I've definitely, perused it. I know I looked at it not too long ago in terms of, just looking at some St. Louis Blues stuff and whatnot. And so I'm wondering if I've got some spying software or something on my computer or something. I don't know, because obviously these are things where somebody buys it, and then if it's like what happened with Fanatics, it ends up getting sent to me. I didn't bother to call NHL.com and discuss it with them because honestly, my credit card said that they would go ahead and cancel a transaction and issue me a new card. But I wondered, I would wonder if it was something that was going to come to me. Now, if it was like a supersized Tarasenko jersey, I might have kept it. But anyway, so I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to make sure. I've got security stuff on my computer, obviously, but I might go in there and also just check and make sure that I don't have any spyware on there that's really, really good at being hidden. Because with everything that has been going on with the hacking and with, you know, just everything online, you know, being kind of weird, can't be too careful. So I think my problem should stop now that I'm going to get a new card. But that being said, got to keep a watchful eye out. A watchful eye, a ready eye, a weather eye. But that was a little, you know, a little extra fun for the day. It's a very busy day. And it's all good. So the other thing I did tonight, because I just did everything today, it sounds like. But so when we got home and I took my nap and I woke up and did all that other stuff, I was on YouTube and I'm like, you know, I found this one guy that, and I mean, I watch a lot of things that I don't know anything about and find interesting. If somebody's good at explaining what they're doing, then I can find interest in it usually. I was watching this guy who buys a lot of cars at auctions and then either salvages them for parts or restores the cars and sells them and whatnot. And he obviously he lives in Florida, has a bit of money, has a farm. It's quite funny because he'll come home with a beat up car and there'll be like a bunch of cows that'll gather around the car to see what's going on. And then he'll be filming a video in this big, huge open garage / barn. And this chicken walks in the middle of the video. But he's pretty interesting to talk to. And I was watching this video last night of this, Lamborghini that had been completely totaled. I mean, it was like in a ball, like it had been curled up, and I can't even imagine if the person that was in that car survived or not. I mean, I don't think there's any way that they could have survived. But the car was at auction, and you'd think to yourself, I mean, it's completely totaled. It's wrapped up. Why would anybody buy this car? You know how much money it went for on online auction? $13,000. And the guy in the video was shocked too. He's like, I can't believe that this apparent piece of junk went for $13,000. But then he started looking at everything a lot closer. And if you looked really close, you could see that there were pieces of the car that were still intact. And those pieces could be used as replacement parts. And replacement parts for Lamborghinis are not cheap, as you can imagine. So based on what he was looking at, there were several $1,000s worth of parts and pieces to this car that he thought, you know, you probably could use. And the most interesting part was there was carbon fiber that was, and I don't know if it's like inside the paneling or I want to say it's inside the paneling because it's kind of like it provides resistance and strength, and it's very expensive, very, very expensive. And the amount that he saw, he was actually talking about the fact that you could take this carbon fiber and recycle it, and they can use that carbon fiber in other things. And it's very expensive. Like nobody, I guess, recycles carbon fiber. So you can get a lot of money for it. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And I don't know, I just like learning all these new things. So tonight what I did was I got on there and I just typed in restoring. And I was just like, take me away, YouTube. And the funny thing was, one of the first videos that I came across was a video of a guy who restores, and there's more than one guy, there's several guys on YouTube that do this, that restore old Air Jordans, like from 10, 15 years ago, that they get them and they look like complete disaster, totally dirty, stuff is torn and whatnot. And these guys go in and they can't make them perfect again, but they can make them look pretty dang new. And those things are pretty valuable. I mean, our Air Jordans are collector's items for a lot of people. There's a big shoe industry collectors thing that people do. And they just love all these little variations of shoes and whatnot. I mean, I think Justin Timberlake wore a pair of, I'm going to get this wrong, but I want to say there was some kind of Nike like, it was a limited edition shoe. It was like made just for his performance in the Super Bowl. And like they only made like 300 pairs or 3,000 pairs. I can't remember which it was, and I'm sure they cost like $1,000 a piece, and they were sold out like before the Super Bowl was they put them on sale right when he was doing his performance, and then they took them off. Whoa, where am I? Where am I, guys? Here we go. Aha, here we go. So I mean, so it's a big business, and so these guys were basically like, showing how to clean the shoes and everything. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. Knowing how to clean a filthy pair of shoes, get them to look fairly new, that's a valuable skill. So I might have learned something very practical there for myself. But I watched that, and then I watched, wow, I really did a bad job tying this off. Whew. Wasting. But, so then I came across this guy who was restoring old tools, and he had an old machine shop vise, the thing that you hook onto the side of like a bench, and then you can put something in it and then take the thing and kind of clamp it down on it so you can hold it still while you work on it. And this guy had found this, or found this old rusted, just nasty old rusted vise that he had a terrible time trying to just get the pieces apart because it was so rusted. And most of the video was just him trying to get it apart. And then he used a sander, and he got it all cleaned up, and then he ended up painting it. And I mean, it was pretty nice looking when he was done. I don't know how much those things go for, or if he even wanted to sell it, but. And there are a ton more videos. I'm gonna go downstairs after this and watch tomorrow, because I just typed in restoring, and it's just all over the map. There's restoring like old hatchets and axes, and restoring computers, and restoring I mean, anything, and that's just the first like 10-15 videos. So I got a ways to go. But it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. YouTube is my TV for the most part. Okay. Working our way from right to left, which is not usually what I do, but since I'm filling stuff in, and I started up here and worked my way down, this just seems like the next logical kind of place to go. What does logic have to do with it? What does logic have to do with anything? But, sorry, I'm not quoting anything. I just made that up, as I am prone to do. But I'm jealous of the snowstorm in the Northeast. Now, I'm not jealous of the fact that people are out of power, or that people got houses flooded. That all stinks. I'm jealous of like the 3-4 feet of snow that some of the areas got. Because it was like 65 degrees here today in Colorado, and it just doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right. So, what are you gonna do? All right, up here. I like just filling stuff in. When you get to the point where you're just literally filling stuff in. So awesome. So awesome. Have I run out of stuff to talk about? I might have. I might have run out of stuff. It's possible. It is possible. Cool beans. It's one of the reasons why I like this Rainy Waterloo piece so much, is because it's majority of the stitching. There's in any one area, there's like 3 or 4 colors that are the dominant color, and you can just stitch quite a lot with the same color for a while, and it just makes it go by faster. And I like that. I like that a lot. Whew. I'm starting to get tired. Finally. I shouldn't even say that. I mean, gosh sakes, I napped today, so I don't have any excuse to be tired. Yep, now I think I've run out of things to talk about. I should have talked slower. I should have talked a lot slower. But I didn't. Man, these glasses are making things definitely a bit faster. I want to jump on to Old World Map 2 and see if, or even Ronnie Rowe, and see if that makes it, and it should. Everything should just feel better going forward. So my legs. No worries. So what's coming up? What am I working on? I really want to I've got the Boba Fett fabric up here, somewhere around here. And I want to definitely get more of that gridded out after I finish this, like I did last week. And last week, I can only do so much because my eyes were like, no. So I'm going to try it again this week and get a bit more done. Because I've got to grit a lot before I can actually get to the part where I'm stitching, and that's just kind of a bummer. But I guess I could have really just chosen a spot, but I want to make sure that I'm as centered as I can be, considering how off I usually am with that. I'm gonna go way over here and do these, but I'm going to be using a lot of blues and grays on that piece, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be definitely very different from what I've been doing lately, so that'll be good. I gotta get that going. And here. The other funny thing was when we went to CSU this morning, we were walking around campus, and we were there about 9:30, 10 o'clock or so, maybe a little later than that, but there was nobody out. Like, you could see that, like, all the cars were parked where they were supposed to, and all the bicycles were put up by the dorms and stuff, but, like, nobody was out, and it was a beautiful morning. I mean, you couldn't ask for better weather. And there was like a small group of guys playing like flag football, and there was the occasional person walking about, going from one place to another, but there wasn't, it wasn't like big groups. I mean, not that I know exactly where people would have been going, but just everybody was in their dorms. And my husband was like, where is everybody? And I'm like, hey guys, this is a little bit of a rough jump here, but my phone died while I was recording the last bit of the last video, so apologize for that, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here because it's been acting a little weird, and I want to go ahead and start editing this together. So sorry for the sudden end. I hope you guys have a great weekend and that you've got a lot of stitching done. And you can see the light showing up here, the light post. That is that light post. Why does it look crooked? Okay, hopefully it won't look crooked when it's done, but it's this right here. It's probably just the fabric, the way it's pulled. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will be seeing you soon with another update. Take care. Have a good night.